नमस्कार, मैं सीए मनमोहन जिंदल फ्रॉम मुंबई, आपका दोस्त। टुडे वी शैल डिस्कस सम एस्पेक्ट्स ऑन फैक्टरी। So what is the factoring? What is the factor? Factoring is a means of funding of accounts receivable. Means we have in balance sheet fixed assets, current assets, and in current assets among them the debtors, accounts receivable. So these are funded on factoring against the assignment in favor of a factor. Factor is a lender, either a bank or a NBFC, which provide finance against the receivable. So factoring helps to generate instant liquidity. तुरंत लिक्विडिटी आपको मिलती है, अलाउज बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी। जहां आप स्टक हो रहे हैं वहां पर आपको बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी इमीडिएट मिलती है, इमीडिएट सहायता मिलती है विदाउट एनी डिसरप्शन। In simple words, it is a receivable management and financing service designed to accelerate the seller's cash flow. Seller's cash flow. So, जो invoice वह बायर को देता है, जो उसने माल बेचा है, बायर से पैसा लेना है, बायर से पैसा मान लीजिए 90 दिन, 120 दिन, 150 दिन में आएगा, वह तुरंत एज फैक्टर के पास जाकर के उसको डिस्काउंट करा लेता है और उसकी सेल जो उधार में थी वो कैश में बदल जाती है। सो इन दिस प्रोसेस द परचेजिंग पावर इंक्रीजेस, production moves up and sales profitably improve, because जब आपके पास पैसा होगा तो आप फर्दर प्रोडक्शन करेंगे, आपकी मशीनरी आइडल नहीं पड़ी रहेगी, आपका वर्कमैन आइडल नहीं बैठेगा और आपके पास जो ऑर्डर हैं, फर्दर ऑर्डर्स हैं, उनको कंप्लीट करने में आप लगातार सक्षम रहेंगे, क्योंकि इमीडिएटली रॉ मटेरियल के बदले आपके पास पैसा आपके हाथ में आ गया है। जैसे ही पहले बिल की आपने दिया, सेलर बायर ने अभी पैसा नहीं दिया, but you have got the money from the factory. So factoring is with or without recourse. It also covers exports as well as domestic receivables. So what is the with recourse? Here, in the event of buyers failing to pay on maturity, the seller has to pay back the advance obtained from the factor. So the responsibility is of the seller who is getting the advance. But in case of without and non-recourse factor, the lender has to bear the loss in case of non-payment from the buyer, and factor provides finance and bears the risk of default in case of non-payment by the buyers. So mostly finance is remained as with recourse, because lender don't want to bear the loss in case the buyer has not paid the payment. Seller has to pay the payment to the factor. Now, there are various use of the factoring. Factoring is a transaction whereby the client selling goods or services and open account terms without insisting on fixed due date for receiving payment from the buyer, as would be under the bid of exchange, invoice of goods, services to a buyer, and assign the invoice to the factor and receives prepayment up to a 80 to 90%. You suppose that you have sell a goods of rupees 100 and you get the factor advance rupees 90 against them, your cost is almost recovered, more than the cost is recovered, because 10 to 20% is your profit in the selling invoice. Thus, the lender turns the seller invoice into cash and gives the seller an instant access to his dues instead of waiting till the payment is received from the buyer. तो जितने पीरियड में बायर से पैसा आना है उतने पीरियड के लिए भी एटलीस्ट उसकी कॉस्ट तो उसके पास आ ही गई. The seller will therefore have a healthier cash flow, which will accelerate his growth of his company, growth of his product, growth of his business, or growth of his social status, because his sale is increasing day by day. His customers are satisfied. His sale is uninterrupted, and his commitments are fulfilled at the lower. More the sale, more the profit. More the sale, bigger the business. More the sale, the more the name. So, seller invoice value advance is available up to 90% of the invoice. Seller has a lot of benefits because it is not necessarily linked to collateral, because it is purely on the basis of the invoice financing. So collateral is not required unless the seller's reputation is very bad. Lenders uses a high-end customized IT platform to process and deliver its services. Lender provides credit protection against default of the buyer under the export transactions. Means it should be ECGC cover. Government of India has established an institution, export credit guarantee cover. So if it is covered in the ECGC, so default of the buyer will be covered in this. Lender provides MIS reports, sales ledger administration without additional cost. So interest is charged for the transaction. The ancillary services are given in free. Lender follows up with the buyer for payment of receivable because he has financed the bill. So he generally follow up the payment from the buyers, and the factory owner or the businessman is free in recovering his dues or in save the time in reminding his buyer to pay the money. Lender provides online access 24/7 to their client to view their accounts. So today is the time of AI, today is the time of computer age, today is the time of technology. So customer can view his account 24/7 on his mobile, PC, or the tablets. So whether it is easy to work, so there is a doubt in the customer's mind. It is easy. Yes, the process when compared to the selling on LC terms is much more straightforward. You have to finance the transaction. It is not a LC which is sanctioned on a time basis for 90 day, 1 year, etc., or the line of credit. The document required under factoring are simple and not very complicated, which is generally the case under LC-backed transactions. So it is very simple. You have sell, you have a bill, you are factoring that bill up to that when the buyer has committed you to pay the money. Now, there is a doubt that whether it is cost effective. So whether it is cost effective, so it is not at the first sight. If you look over means ऊपर ऊपर से अगर देखें तो it doesn't look cost effective. If the interest charged by the banking system is compared directly with the discount rate of factor, then factoring will appear expensive as the interest charged by factoring company generally higher than that charged by the working capital. So जो interest working capital का होता है उसे थोड़ा higher ही रहता है. However, factoring does not end with availment of finance. A factor provides a gamut of services like management of accounts, receivables, following up with your buyers for overdue payment, providing you with MIS reports, etc. So these are a gamut of services, a bunch of services, a bunch of facilitation, and the expertise which a borrower may feel relaxed and can grow his business with a peace of mind. So, as compared to the sales under LC terms, you can save the cost of involved in opening an LC of your buyer and cost of LC drawing compliant documents for availing factor facility by simply handing over the normal trade document to the factor, receiving money, and also make good economic sense. So it is based on transaction to transaction. You have to submit your bill, an assignment agreement, a service agreement, and intimation to your buyer that you have not to pay me but to pay to the factor. The added benefits of factoring come from immediate availability of cash to the extent of 90% of the invoice value, while banks fund generally to the extent of 70 to 75% of the invoice. Though banks are also finance debtors, but they are up to 70 to 75% value. And every time you have to submit the stock statement, other procedures are which are solely have to be followed by the buyer or the seller. Sorry, followed by the seller. Saving in administration and collection cost of debts, saving arising out of reduction in collection period as a result of factor professional approach to the invoice collection. Because the factor officers are proficient and they are well versed in getting the payment, so the seller is free from this general hurdle. So it also helps to MSME in growing because SME sell to relatively stronger to corporate buyers, thereby offering a less risky option of funding credit sales to MSME. Because MSME को जल्दी से क्रेडिट फैसिलिटीज नहीं मिलती हैं या उसके पास थोड़ी वर्किंग कैपिटल भी कम होती है, रिस्क कैपेसिटी भी कम होती है, तो उसको और कॉर्पोरेट कई बार उसको ज्यादा डिले भी करते हैं, तो इमीडिएटली उसको फंडिंग मिल जाती है और MSME ग्रो होता है, which is the backbone of the Indian economy. So we shall discuss why need factoring over and above the LC in the next slide or the other consecutive material on this subject. So बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, नमस्कार.